So this is the drawing that I'm going to dimension for you guys, and this is where I'm going. This with a few more dimensions. This was my practice run this morning. So when you're here and you have the object all created the way you want it, what you're going to do is right click on the drawing and then create the drawing, or create a drawing from the part. What we usually use for most of the stuff that we do in this class is this border. This is the format for the way the picture is going to show up. It shows up as ANSI A-inch. ANSI stands for American National Standards Institute. Click on 4 views and then click OK. And so the program makes it easy for us because we just go right in here and we have our 4 views. What I want you guys to do is change a couple of things. First thing I want you to do is get rid of this big clunky title block. You don't need all of that. So if you just highlight that, and then you can delete. So that gets rid of all that. The rest of the border you can leave. That's okay. And then on this border, when the drawing comes in, it comes in I think it's half scale. Whenever possible, I want you guys to change this to full scale. So the way that you do that, you right click, go to View Properties, and then right here you see the scale. So 1 to 2 means that if this drawing is 4 inches long, when you printed this, if you print in the scale, the actual size would be half of the actual size of the object. So we're gonna make these bigger and make them 1 to 1. And most of your drawings will fit full scale. If they won't fit full scale, then you just use the largest possible scale. So whichever one of these would work. As I say, most of the time they'll work full scale. And then you click the green check. And so here, this is the front view of the object. This is the top. This is the right side. And this is your isometric. The isometric, we're going to change the scale on that in just a minute, but I'm going to push it up in the corner. And you can see it has scale 1 to 1 under each view. We don't need that. So we can start getting rid of those. Click that, delete, click over here, delete, click here, delete, and we'll leave one of them, and I'm going to move that in just a second. So at this point, these views are all lined up with each other, and if I move the front view, say to there, okay, everything moves in relation. Because what we want this is called a multi-view drawing. What we want in a multi-view drawing is for everything to be aligned with each other. So if we were to draw a line from the front view into the right side view, the top of the front is aligned perfectly with the top of the right, and the bottom of the front is aligned perfectly with the bottom of the right side view. The left side of the front is aligned perfectly with the left side of the top, and so forth. So that's those are the first couple steps. Then the next thing that we want you to do is create a smaller title block down here at the bottom. So that scale 1 to 1, I drag that over into the corner. And then up here on the toolbar, we have this capital A, that's the note button. So I can click note and click here. And if I drag right there, I can make that text block bigger. So in the text block, you're going to put your name. My name is David Weber, and this is drawing, whatever the title is, drawing number 1. We're going to leave the scale there. Normally we would put a due date, so we're pretty flexible on due dates right now. And I think that's it. So name, date, put the date that you turned it in, and then a drawing title, drawing number 1, drawing, I forget what the practice drawing number 1, something like that. And then when you get that all in there, you click the check mark. You can change fonts and change sizes if you want it to be a little bit bigger. But what we don't want to have happen is we don't want this information taking up a lot of space from your drawing. So the title block should be pretty small. We don't want to take up a lot of room. We're putting dimensions, we're putting sizes on these 3 drawings, on the front, the right side, and the top. So we want the pictorial, we want the isometric view to be there, but we don't want it to take up a whole lot of space. So I'm going to scale this down. I'm going to right click and go to view properties, and I'm going to go back to a half scale on that. 1 to 2 is half scale. Click the check mark, and then I can stick that way up there in the corner. And that's pretty much this orientation. That's the format that we're going to use for all the drawings that you dimension. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to put hidden lines in. I posted a handout on Google Classroom this morning that talks about this format, the multi-view drawing, and there's information in there about hidden lines. So just to kind of define what a hidden line is for you, because we haven't talked about this before. You guys all know, you've done this drawing. When you look at this object, you know that this hole goes all the way through. Goes from this side all the way to this side. We can see that here. We can't see that hole in the front view or in the top view. So what we have in technical drawing is these things called hidden lines. And in this program, it's super duper easy to add hidden lines. So I'm going to right click on the front view. Let's say I have to get it down to where I can see the whole menu. Try that again. Okay, there we go. Show hidden lines right there. Show hidden lines. And so the dashed lines that you see there now, those are hidden lines. Those are indicating that this hole, this circle, runs all the way through from the right side to the left side. We can do the same thing up here on the top view. Right click, show hidden lines. And then the cool thing about this program is that if you're not sure if a view is going to have hidden lines, you just go ahead and do the right click, show hidden lines, and let's see, can we get this? It's not showing me the command. So what I started to say there is if you're not sure whether a view has hidden lines in it, go ahead and click it and try to add them. And if it doesn't have any, the program won't put them in. So then the next step would be to add center lines. So center lines, again, that's another thing that's on that other handout in Google Classroom. I could try to pull that up for you in a minute. But we're going to put center lines in here. So the way we do that is we go up here, add center line, and click here, and click here, and there. And then we wouldn't do it here with this line, but we do want a center, we want center lines on the circle. The way we do that on the circle is we use this one that says center mark. and we click right there, and then we have that little plus sign that shows the center of the circle of the hole. We're talking about the size of the object, all the different sizes and locations of the various features. When you guys drew this drawing, you had dimensions to work from. So what we want to do is we want you to add those dimensions so that this becomes a complete drawing. So your dimension commands are right up here, and there's a whole big long list of them. I'm not going to go through all of these. You can experiment with them. I'm going to start with this one right here. And so I'm going to click there. I'm on dimension. And notice that I'm only getting a piece of a line. So if I want to dimension this whole length, I have to go from corner, from that dot, to corner. And now I have the 4 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you a mistake that frequently people make. Okay, so we've got 4 inches here. So if I go here and here, and I do that, that's what we refer to as a duplicate dimension. It's dimensioning the same thing. We only need it once. It's wasted space and wasted time to put it in twice. So to get rid of that, I can click on it and then delete. If I put a dimension down on the drawing and I don't like where it goes, so for instance, this would be a horrible location for that 4 inches. I can always drag it around. I can move it. We want the number to be centered, so we wouldn't put it way out here, and we wouldn't put it here. And when you look at the handout, it shows the dimensions need to be neat, complete, and legible. Those are the 3 things that I always look for. Neat, complete, and legible. So now I know the burning question is, well, how many dimensions do I actually need? You need all the dimensions that are on the original handout. So that's another thing you can do. Pull up that other handout, and where you see 4, put the 4 in, and then cross it off on that handout. And where you see 1, cross it off on the handout. And down here, we have a 1 inch dimension there. And we have a 1 inch dimension there. And notice we get that little dotted line. That's showing me that this dimension where my cursor is now is lined up with this one. And that's what you want. You want them to be neat. So that's a nice, neat lineup of dimensions. Do the same thing here. Drag up. I get that dotted line. That tool helps me get things lined up. And then they're there. And we just keep going around until we get all of the dimensions that we need. Now on this one, I might put this one, I don't want to go too far away. I might go about there with that one. So with the dimension pulled out to the side, that gives me more space for a dimension here. And we could keep going. Okay, now the next thing I want to point out is the circle. Circles, holes, things like that, those are unique. You have to give that 3 different dimensions. Usually it's a minimum of 3. So the first thing we're going to do is give it a size, a diameter. So right here, diameter, dimension. If you like shortcut keys, Shift D gets you into that command. So if I click that circle, now I get this weird looking dimension line. It looks different than any of the other ones that I've done. It's called a leader line. And we're going to put that, that looks like a good spot, kind of out of the way. It's lined up with these guys. Looks pretty neat. So that tells us how big the hole is, but we still don't know where the hole is. We don't know where that hole lives on the surface of the block. So we need to go back to our other dimension command, and I'm going to dimension to the center of the hole and then down to this line, and we'll put one right there. So that tells us vertically where that dimension is, where the hole is. And then we need one horizontally. So if I go here to here, and that one right there. So now I know everything I need to know about that hole. I know the diameter, I know vertically where it is, and I know horizontally where it is. So that's what you need for the hole. We also know from this multi-view drawing that that hole goes all the way through, because we can see that here and we can see that here. So that's the basics. Now there are more dimensions that need to be put in here. So for instance, let me keep going. So the depth of this notch needs to be in there. Let's see what else. We probably need this dimension. Put this one in. Now this one, okay, now that the 3.25 here and the 0.75, they're sitting on top of each other. So that one, that needs to be edited. So let's try to get this one. Well, I kind of have to figure out where to put that. So I think I'll put that one right here. And then maybe move this one out a little bit. Move this one down a little bit. Maybe move this one over. No, that's where it was. So that looks pretty good. So let's zoom to fit again. Right click, zoom to fit. And let's see, we've got a thickness, we've got a length. That may be everything that we need. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything. Oh, here, we need one more. We need a full height, so I'll go from here to here. So I think the dimensions on that are complete looking quickly. So when you get it to this point and everything, you have all the dimensions that you need, they're neatly done, there's no duplicates. Okay, now you're ready to save or print or turn this in. The way to do that would be to, let's see, you could export it. That's not the easiest way. The best way to do this is to go to print, and you guys have done this before. Print, and when you print it, you're going to print it as a PDF. So it's save as PDF. I did the video on this, so this is the same process. You guys have already seen this.